Hey everybody, today Rahdo rounds up the Age of Atlantis, which is going to be a quick excerpt from my normal monthly roundup show where I talk about all the games my wife and I played over the preceding 4 weeks. Today I'm just only going to give you a little snippet of that roundup with the Age of Atlantis. And right off the bat, folks, I gotta say, I don't know where to start. This is such a huge game. Not only just in terms of its table real estate, but in terms of its scope and its breadth and its ambition. But before I get too far, please remember, folks, this was a paid Kickstarter preview. So, what did we think? Well, at its heart, this is a pretty straightforward worker placement game, but you're using dice for your worker placements. You don't roll them. Instead, you put them face up, indicating what their current morale is. And the interesting thing is, you send a worker out to a building, out to the barracks to train for, or to build things, or whatever it might be. And after they've done that action, you can kind of nudge them. You can literally rotate the die and have them go again. You can even do it again and push them into the depths of exhaustion and despair so that you can get maximum usage out of these workers. Get 3 actions for only 1 placement? Yes, please. But here's the problem. We are overseeing the development of the ancient city of Atlantis. And Atlantis is watched over by Poseidon. And Poseidon does not like it when we don't take care of the citizens of Atlantis. And so, at the end of a round, when you take all your workers back, if any of them are literally demoralized because you push them too hard, well, your standing with Poseidon will drop. Which isn't a problem immediately, but there can be certain events that will make him unleash his fury. And you don't want to be on his bad side then. Never mind the fact that if you keep working your way up in his good graces, you'll actually get a huge amount of points. So that's one interesting thing about the worker placement, the morale system. But those dice have even more to give because they represent 2 different types of citizens. Regular peasants who have to stay within the walled city of Atlantis when it was still on land. It hasn't sunk, by the way, yet because this is ancient antiquity. But you can upgrade your dice to turn them into full Atlanteans, and the Atlanteans are able to travel out in the landscape and go out and harvest resources and build more buildings, because Atlantis itself will fill up very quickly as players build more and more buildings. This is the type of worker placement game where at the start, there's really not a board. Players have to build up the infrastructure of this city so that they can actually use all the buildings they've built. And of course, players share these buildings with each other. Once I make a temple, it's open season. Anybody could go use it. And maybe I'll never be able to get my foot back in the door because everybody else is jumping in on my temple-y action or whatever it might be. Although every player does have their own very unique building that only they can use that gives them really cool asymmetrical game-changing power. So that's all very nice. But, the dice are one thing. What's even better is the amazing miniatures. Poseidon himself is represented by this awesome, he must be 4 or 5 inches tall, just sits in the middle of the board, looking out over the landscape, pointing in a direction every round, chosen randomly, that is his blessed part of the city. If you do your worker placement there, you'll get big points. But I don't want to go there. I want to go over there. Well, it's Poseidon. What are you going to do? But the interesting thing is, on the outskirts of the board, at the end of every round, invaders will show up from Rome and from Greece because they are jealous. They want all of our riches. They want all our technology. Because it turns out this game tells the story that all the ancient mythological creatures that we know of today as, legends and whatnot, turns out those were mechs that the ancient Atlanteans were able to build and use to defend themselves. And it's so cool to build these gigantic Pegasuses and Cerebuses and Minotaurs and whatnot, and then put your little worker dice on them, and they ride them around the countryside, routing all the invading enemies who keep coming. Kind of a similar way to, Castle Panic. And the interesting thing is, if those invaders ever make it to the city, or ever make it to any of the buildings we've built out in the countryside, Poseidon doesn't like that. And he gets very angry, and he will flood. He will unleash a torrent to take out all those invaders, but he'll also inadvertently take out all the buildings as well. And when he gets mad, that's when he strikes at us if we haven't taken good care of the people as well. So he is a fickle god, and you've got to try and, balance so much stuff going on. The tech trees that come with this game are amazing. There are so many different ways you could level up every time you play. It's going to go in a different direction based on the opportunities that you create for your opponents when you build buildings and that they create for you. Even the invaders, because sometimes they don't come with more troops. They come with little worker placement spots that you can go out and interact with the invaders instead of fighting them. It's really sharp. And the one thing I was worried about is that it would be overwhelming, because this game definitely has the potential to throw you into the deep end of the pool and say, well, you figure out how to swim, because there's so much going on. I mean, it's comparable to a Mind Clash game like Anachrony or Tricarion or Teotihuacan, another dice worker placement game. There's so much stuff, but what I love more than anything else, and there's a lot to love in this game, is the fact that developers realized they had made a very big open sandboxy game that could be hugely intimidating for first-time players. So the rules suggest, it's an option, you don't have to do it, that as part of setup, everybody gets dealt a strategy card. And these strategy cards will give you hints and clues as to how best to win. Hey, in Age 1, if you're going for the military strategy, here's what you really need to focus on, and by the time you get to Age 3, this is what you should be able to do. But if you're going for the resource heavy strategy, then you really want to focus on these particular buildings, and maybe if somebody else builds them, you want to do this. I love this. This is so smart. My wife and I, we both ended up getting a different one, and we started playing, and right from the beginning, we felt a sense of confidence in our decisions. We knew that even if we didn't know everything, all the permutations, all the long-term effects, the knock-on, causal chains of our actions, we felt like we were making good decisions because we had a strategy, because the game helped us and gave us one. There's a lot of neat innovations in Age of Atlantis, and if there's one that I hope the developers take from the game more than anything else, it's this idea of, help me help you, game. Help me feel smarter. Help me have more fun so that I want to come back and play again, instead of just being overwhelmed and, tossed out to sea. I love it. There is so much great. The game production is amazing. The game design is really sharp. I really, really love this core structural idea of accessibility. I mean, not for nothing, the rules themselves, they're like Martin Wallace Brass short. They're only like 3 or 4 pages long. You can sum up the core rules really quickly and easily, and then just go deeper and deeper and deeper, because the game, it is bottomless with all the amazing stuff you can do. And that's the Age of Atlantis. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about the game, you can hit that eye up in the top right corner screen and go check out the Kickstarter. It's running right now. You can actually even play the game if you want digitally online, so you don't have to take my word for it. But anyway, folks, that's the Age of Atlantis. Hit that eye in the top right corner screen or follow the show notes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.